right, well, good morning. So we have, I've invited Ronit with McLean & Co. to present to you in just a moment. So I just want to test Ronit and Megan. I see that you're on. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you.
Ooh, sorry, that was, yeah. 1 second. You're echoing really bad on our end. I think it's probably happening on yours too. So we're just going to reach out to our tech services, and I'm going to be doing the introduction anyway. Test. Yeah, Ronit, can you try speaking again, please?
I can hear you properly this time.
Oh, phew. That's so
Yes.
much better.
Good. But Meg is telling me that when she tries to unmute, it says only select participants can unmute.
Okay, got it. I think so.
Hit the little people. The little people at the bottom. Teams at the very bottom. Yeah. Dan, can you see the presentation on your screen? Okay. And Roger, you got two screens, so you're good, right? Okay.
All right. So I think we're good. Meg, I know that you're still waiting for permissions to be able to unmute your mic, which I checked with Josh, and Doug is an organizer, so he should be able to, at some point, give you permissions to be able to unmute. And so in the meantime, I just want to get going with my introduction a little bit, and then Meg, I'll let you know when we want to test yours out. So like I mentioned, I've invited McLean & Co. to give the board a presentation today for the work session. This is, I have added to my budget request for next year, two things. And this is one of them, to ask McLean & Co. to conduct our employee engagement survey. And so that would be beginning for 2027, and it's a 2-year contract for 2028 as well. And I'll explain why I see a benefit to that. So the introduction that I want to give to you, and Meg, it looks like Doug gave you permission. You want to try speaking, please?
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, great.
The only thing is that I still, if Doug wouldn't mind giving me permission to turn my camera on, that would be wonderful as well, but
Okay.
can work without it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So board members, what I've handed out to you today, I have 2 pages that I've stapled together for your review. And the first is the county strategic plan. And I've highlighted on the strategic plan goals that relate to employee engagement. And that's why I've added McLean & Co. as a budget item request for 2027. is to align with our strategic plan and start moving forward with the short and long-term planning, so I can plan for HR needs. So the biggest thing is, we talked about at the beginning of this year how we did the employee engagement survey and how we had very low participation for our employee engagement survey. And that really caught our attention. I know we shared that with the board, and it seemed to be a bit alarming to the board, as well as it was an all-time low for responses. We had 50 responses total, and out of about 260-ish employees. So looking at, if my math is correct, I hope like 1/5 of employees responded. And so we had 116 views for the post, but only 50 responses. So that gave us a strong indication that, and the HR customer service survey that I recently did that I'll share with you on the 21st, we had, kind of similar to that, there seems to be a need for an external source to conduct this employee engagement survey while we work on that trust and internal messaging. So McLean & Co., actually Crow Wing County, used them, I forget how many years ago, but Doug and I have done demos and gained more information that I think you'll be very pleased with the presentation from Ronit and Meg. So for their strategic plan, if this is approved for next year's budget, it would align with the goal of, the first goal I've highlighted is to enhance recruitment, retention, and performance management by leveraging employee engagement surveys and reducing turnover, accomplished by benchmarking and staff input to boost efficiencies and communication within a short-term timeline. The second one that I've highlighted is the goal to foster better internal relationships through increased engagement efforts and transparent communication. So what Ronit and Meg will cover today is not only talking about the ramp up for employee engagement survey that they will assist with and really have a huge role in that employee communication to really help amp up the engagement survey process and give lots of heads up and lots of communication to garner employee interest in the survey and be sure that employees are aware. And they'll help communicate that with us. They'll help with leadership support, and really should just give us very good support in the amp up phase. And then we would work to determine how we want to, like what specific questions we want to ask. They'll help us get a very good base and align it with our goals so that we can try to keep it somewhat consistent with what we've asked over the years, but really make sure that we get the best feedback possible, especially using an external source. So we did identify at the beginning of this year that exploring an external source for the employee engagement survey would likely be very beneficial. So for the second page, we have the 2026 employee engagement survey results that we shared with the county board and leadership team and employees after the 2026 employee engagement survey at the beginning of the year. So for engagement, I highlighted that a subset of feedback suggests the emotional climate would improve with stronger accountability for workplace behavior. That's a good example of something employees may not feel comfortable sharing when, even though I advertise that, again, the survey results are conducted anonymously, there is no identifying data. Part of that trust and internal messaging, and even just the comfort in the workplace to be able to provide that feedback, is immediately taken care of, or at least greatly assisted by an external source to be able to share more about that. And for supervision, again, some roles report feeling undervalued or disposable, including a need for clearer role respect, inclusion, and workload or expectation alignment. That was another theme that, again, having more details would be helpful, but they weren't there with internal surveys. On the back page, it talks about leadership, transparency, and engagement. Our praise were visible, but skepticism remains when employees feel the organization prioritized cost over staff experience and service delivery. And for the leadership transitions, staff requested clear communication. The feedback also highlighted training, organizational communication, and setting service level expectations for leadership communication. So again, I'll turn it over to Ronit and Meg, and they'll tell you a lot more about their services and what they can offer. I just wanted to cover our organizational goals, especially the strategic plan, to give just kind of an introduction of how their services will align with our strategic plan and the direction that our office is heading, especially after we discuss the 2026 employee engagement survey. So they'll highlight the services, and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ronit and Meg.
Thanks, Carly, and thank you, board, for having us. It's really a pleasure to speak with everybody this morning. Before we talk about McLean, I'd actually like to start with what we've heard from Carly and Doug over the last several conversations. What stood out to us wasn't that the county needed another survey. You've actually been listening to employees for years, but participation has continued to decline, and there are challenges around trust, anonymity, transparency, and follow through. We heard concerns around reaching all employee groups, especially employees who may not sit at a desk all day, whether that's public works, field-based staff, or others who don't have the same access to communication channels. We also heard a strong desire to make sure employees feel their time and feedback are valued and that they can actually see something happening as a result of participating. The challenge isn't that Mille Lacs County doesn't care about employee engagement. The challenge is that employees need to believe their feedback matters and that something will happen after they provide it. I'm going to share my screen now. Give me a moment. I'm working on 2 screens, so it might take me just a second.
And just while Ronit is pulling up her slide deck here, my name's Megan. I'm a member services director here with McLean and Company. Ronit is part of our acquisitions team. We have been working on helping county government, municipal government, and also some state government procure McLean and Company memberships for some time now. So we can certainly take any Q&A about the more broader business model towards the end, but really wanted to focus in on the engagement survey today. Back over to you, Ronit.
Thanks, Meg. Can everybody see this okay? Screen?
You thumbs up.
Perfect. Okay. So this slide really summarizes the reason we're having this conversation today. Across industries, organizations continue to struggle with retention, and we know turnover carries significant costs, not just financially, but also in lost productivity, onboarding time, and institutional knowledge. At the same time, what we heard from Carly and Doug wasn't simply that participation was low. We heard concerns around trust, transparency, reaching all employee groups, and most importantly, demonstrating follow through. That's why we don't look at engagement as a survey exercise. We look at engagement as a way to understand what employees are experiencing, what's helping them stay, what might be causing them to leave, and where leadership can focus efforts to strengthen the employee experience. Ultimately, the goal isn't better survey results. The goal is stronger retention, stronger communication, higher productivity, and better outcomes for the employees and residents of Mille Lacs County.
Doug asked a really important question during our discussions, and it's the question that we do hear most often from leadership teams, which is about the direct connection between engagement and productivity. Because at the end of the day, companies and governments aren't investing in an engagement survey just to get survey results. They are investing because they want better organizational outcomes. And what we see consistently is that highly engaged employees provide greater discretionary effort. They communicate more effectively, they collaborate more effectively, they're more committed to the organization and its goals. And this is reflected in the graphs on the slide here, where the purple bar graphs show engaged employees and the navy blue bar graphs are showing disengaged employees, which is calculated based off of our engagement survey top box scoring. But when organizations do improve engagement, they typically do see improvements in productivity, performance, innovation, collaboration, all at the same time. And that includes retention as well. So the goal isn't to be getting better survey results. It is a stronger organization as a whole. And what the engagement process allows us to do is identify where those opportunities exist within your organization and then build action plans around the areas that are going to have the greatest impact for you folks.
Carly specifically mentioned transparency and communication several times throughout our conversations. Communication often gets categorized as a soft issue, when in reality, it's a retention issue. Employees want to understand why decisions are being made, what's changing, and what's being worked on, and what happened to the feedback they provided. When communication breaks down, engagement drops, trust erodes, and participation decreases. When communication improves, retention tends to improve along with it. One of the things our research shows is that employees who fully understand why leadership is making decisions are significantly more likely to be engaged. Similarly, when employees see leaders listen and act on feedback, they're dramatically more likely to feel optimistic about the future of the organization. And to me, that's really what transparency looks like. It isn't simply sharing information, it's helping employees understand the reason behind decisions and then demonstrating action based on what employees have told you. One of the themes that kept coming up in our conversations with Carly and Doug was the importance of building trust and increasing participation. What we find is that participation doesn't decrease because employees don't care. Participation often decreases because employees aren't sure what happened the last time they gave feedback. Employees begin asking themselves questions like, did leadership hear us? Did anything change? Why should I spend my time completing another survey when I'm already so busy? Our research shows that when organizations don't communicate survey results and don't communicate actions afterward, employees report lower levels of commitment, lower levels of effort, and lower levels of inspiration at work. On the flip side, organizations that invest in communication and transparency see stronger engagement and stronger buy-in. For Mille Lacs County specifically, one of the biggest opportunities we heard was creating a clearer line between employee feedback and visible action. That's really what this membership and process helps accomplish.
The county has done the right thing, which is continue to try and listen to employees. And the challenge is that many organizations do reach a point where participation starts to decline. Employees do begin, as Ronit has mentioned, to question the anonymity. They wonder if it's worth it, if the actions are going to actually happen afterwards, and certain employee groups become more difficult to reach. So what we're proposing isn't to replace the work that you've already done, but to strengthen it. We are going to help the county, the HR team, and the leadership there create a process and a structure that increases trust, improves participation, and creates accountability around follow through at all the leadership levels. When people do hear that we're an engagement survey, they often assume that we are the survey software, and that's actually really just a small piece of what we do. You'll see it there in like steps 4 and 5 is the actual running of the survey, but this is our entire engagement strategy process from start to finish. We deliver the results presentations so that there is that third-party presence there explaining what we're seeing, how it compares to other organizations in your demographics that you're looking to compare with. We provide all of the reporting that you need, which is obviously a nice lift off of the HR team there. We provide you with dashboards that can help support manager-driven action plans and all of the action planning support, as well as all of the blueprints required to complete the projects on said action plans. So the survey itself is simply a tool that helps us to gather information, but what really is going to make the difference here and where we've been able to continuously improve participation rates and trust is all of the things that are happening before and after the survey. And that includes the planning, the communication, the interpretation, prioritization of the action plans afterwards, because you're going to get a lot of feedback and that can become overwhelming in terms of where to start. And so ultimately then the action planning. And we work with the leadership team to display accountability for improvements and set milestones between surveys as well. So the goal is to create a continuous employee listening strategy rather than a once a year item on the calendar. This is a sample priority matrix and something that is unique to us here at McLean as a firm, and why we do believe that we're extremely efficient in supporting action planning and overall engagement improvement year over year. It plots your driver scores on the bottom, so how your employees actually ranked each of these areas. And on the y-axis, it's plotting your drivers impact on engagement at the organization. So a bit of calculation that our stats team does here for you. And what this is going to show is what's actually going to have the biggest return on investment in terms of time and money in action planning, and where the organization should spend its energy. Now, each department might have one that looks slightly different based on the employees that are within that department, but the overall organization will get one as well. And this is really to help show you that something like, for example, you'll see in the bottom left corner, total compensation, which consistently scores low on engagement surveys. Most employees are never going to say that they're super satisfied with their pay, but isn't going to have as much bang for its buck in terms of overall improvement as something like executive leadership, which, even though it's scored a little bit further along on the x-axis, is statistically having a bigger impact on overall engagement on the y-axis, and would be more worthwhile of an investment moving the dial on something like that. So this is something that we provide and we talk through with the leadership team and the HR team in terms of figuring out where we're going to start from an action planning perspective, because you could work on all of these things, but in our experience, it would mean that nothing's really getting done to the biggest potential and to the full extent. And so we like to try and prioritize with organizations in terms of, here's what we're going to focus on this year, and here's how we're going to do it really well. And then next year, there will be other opportunities in other areas to spend our time and energy in terms of action planning. And I think that this might have been the area that Carly emphasized the most during our discussions, because the concern wasn't really gathering feedback. It was being able to demonstrate that follow through. And that's exactly where our resources are designed to help. The other piece that Carly was really excited about is the ability to track progress. And on our engagement portal, employees can see what feedback was provided, what leaders heard, what initiatives were prioritized, and what progress is being made. And that visibility really creates accountability and helps rebuild trust. The other thing that is coming as part of the proposal to include within the budget is facilitated workshop credits that are going to be used for a session as demonstrated on the screen. This is our employee voice sessions and action planning workshop that we always recommend to clients who are doing their engagement survey with us for the first time. And typically we involve a group of cross-functional leaders in this, department heads, potentially members of this board, depending on how the team wants to structure that process. And we run a number of focus group sessions with employees to deep dive into certain elements of feedback from the survey so that we can really make sure we're getting it right. And then we meet with a select group of the leadership team that I just mentioned to unpack the themes and influence the action plan. Employees have historically really appreciated this extra step because it does allow them to add context to the feedback on the survey, and it demonstrates that the county is actually trying to get it right rather than just proceeding with a checkbox activity in the form of a survey. And then one other piece that I want to drive home that is included with our services, which is really the biggest differentiator between using a strictly survey vendor and partnering with us as a engagement research and advisory partner. A lot of organizations do help collect feedback, receive the report, maybe help identify priorities. But one of the things that we do provide as well is this robust learning content library that's designed to help provide skills to leaders in terms of how to have engaging leadership at the county. A lot of leaders have been promoted from their successful roles as individual contributors and now are tasked with leading your most valuable asset in terms of your people, but haven't necessarily been given a lot of training or soft skills development in terms of how to actually be an engaging leader, how to spot disengagement, how to motivate your teams, inspire them, etc. And so we do provide this really robust learning content library where the HR team and the leadership team will be able to pull content and offer training to managers and leaders there, whether it's self-paced or facilitated, to be able to help them become more engaging leaders and continue the narrative at the organization of what we're trying to set with an engagement strategy. A lot of organizations sometimes do go out and hire other consultants or training providers once they're done their survey to be able to provide this. And so that's one of the benefits to working with McLean and Company is that this is all provided here with you. And it helps to maximize the value of the investment because you are not just purchasing a survey, you're purchasing all of the research pieces as well as the training content. And that's really where the outcomes are generated is in the after and what we're doing with your managers and people leaders.
So one question we often get is if the survey isn't planned until December or January, what's the point in starting right now? The answer is that survey success is determined long before launch day. Between now and the survey launch, we'd be working with the county on aligning goals, developing communication plans, creating participation strategies, preparing leaders, building buy-in, and making sure everyone understands what success looks like. Then we launch the survey. After that comes the action planning, workshops, communication updates, and progress tracking. The preparation phase is often what determines the participation success. So I'll keep this section brief. The proposed investment is a 2-year partnership. Year 1 is $40,065. Year 2 is $42,068. Most importantly, this investment isn't just a survey. It's for the support structure, research, diagnostics, communication tools, action planning resources, workshops, and accountability mechanisms that Meg mentioned to help ensure something meaningful happens after the feedback is collected. I'll leave you with this. At the beginning of our conversations, what we heard was low participation, concerns around anonymity, challenges reaching employees, and difficulty demonstrating follow-through. What we're proposing is a process that helps the county listen more effectively, communicate more transparently, and turn employee feedback into measurable action. Ultimately, this is an investment in retention, productivity, communication, and the overall employee experience because those things directly support the quality of service Mille Lacs County provides to its employees, residents, and community every day. So I'm going to open up the floor to any questions that anybody has at this point.
Questions? I'll write it down. No questions?
We did such a good job. No one has any questions.
What I will do is I'll make sure that Carly gets a version of the slide deck we just had. It has Ronit's contact information. I would urge everyone to feel comfortable just reaching out directly to Ronit if there's anything that crops up after about the survey, the investment, the methodologies, the process, honestly, anything. We're super happy to get back to you promptly, knowing that this is important to the county.
Great, thank you. And I do have a copy of that slide deck, but Megan and Ronit, if you wouldn't mind hanging on a little bit longer, I have some more information I'd like to add, and then we'll see if Rhonda, your question comes back up or if any others surface. Another part of the reason that I handed out this 2026 employee engagement survey takeaway is, again, remembering that we reviewed this with the county board at the beginning of the year, leadership team, and then shared it with employees. And again, knowing that it's a struggle for the follow through on this of, I really like not just how McLean & Co. will engage employees and help with that communication and do a lot of work for the ramp up, but like we talked about, that engagement, the transparency, the clear communication, the accountability, and the visible progress to follow through are huge. And so this handout that we provided to leadership team, again, it's all internal work, and we want to be able to support our leadership team and leadership members, not only in the training, but which is also a huge theme that keeps coming up, but also with the follow through on these items so that we can support them in growing their department and helping with their employee relations as well. So that visible accountability and follow through is going to help not just us as leadership, but again, all leadership members throughout the county. Now, with the version that we put together and shared, now it's up to us to follow through with leadership team of following through about like, is this clear whose area this is? Has it quote been assigned to somebody? Is it clear who's responsible for it? And then what do we do for the follow through? I note at this county board meeting that, Seeking McLean and Co. is a follow-up from what we saw from the employee engagement survey. But how do we help communicate that to employees and also make that visible progress to show here are our identified goals? Here is who is assigned to it, whether that's individuals, departments, groups, whatever. And here's our progress on it. So that, like I mentioned, the follow through is a huge key piece of it, but it's that visible accountability and follow through, showing employees that their input really matters and that we do see a high value in it so that we can take next steps as an organization to foster employee relations and a positive workplace. That's a big thing that came to mind with that I just wanted to highlight. Another piece is we are now sharing the exit survey information quarterly. That'll be on for the 21st. And that's, again, something that we're getting a bit more consistent with. And like Ronit covered with this survey, as we're talking about the engagement and the retention piece of it, I'm interested in why people leave, but I'm equally, if not more, interested in why people stay. And that's something that I'd like to change the conversation or at least highlight as a focus of what makes us unique as Mille Lacs County. Why do employees choose to stay here? And what is it about Mille Lacs County that they like? They've mentioned work, family, and things like that, but we know that employees who do choose to stay are very dedicated to their work and here at Mille Lacs County and the people that they work side by side with and the clients that they serve. So if we can help focus on the conversation, again, why do people stay? That's a huge piece for recruitment as well. And employees consistently report there's focus on recruitment, but not as much on retention. And so if we can show that, yes, we very much care as a county of why employees choose to stay long-term and appreciate that invaluable knowledge that only comes from experience here, that's another part of the conversation that I want to highlight and bring forward, which McLean will help with, giving us kind of our brand as Mille Lacs County.
So I have a question. Did you mention Aiken County has used these guys or?
Crow Wing.
Yep. And you've talked to them and what's do they have a success story or how long have they used their services or?
So I'll open it up in case anyone would like to share.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with it working at Growing previously, and it was very beneficial. And it's an investment in our employees. So yeah, the dollar amount it seems high, but if you think of over 300 employees, I think that's an investment in them, and especially with the leadership. So we have a lot of people, moving up within the organization and taking management positions, and we want to put them in an opportunity to make sure they're successful. And I think this, the information that's available through the website through them is just another tool in the tool belt to help them in that process.
Any other counties use their services?
I have not run across any other counties with McLean. I know that McLean gave us a list. I did also, and Ronit and Megan know this, that I checked with Great Place to Work and also Gallagher, so other companies about their services, did the product demos, checked the bids, and really lower bids equal more work for the county. So I did not request additional staff in the budget for next year. This is in my mind, a much more minor expense that touches on and covers so many important areas, and we have skilled expertise available to be able to cover all these items. So like we talked about, especially with that workplace credits that we'll be able to go through, Ronit and Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, but we'll be able to include up to, I believe, around 10 members to go through the feedback and move forward from there. So we talked about that would be the perfect number, that if the board wanted, we could include all 5 board members and all 5 of our department heads on that to review and follow through on next action steps. And the learning library I also see as extremely important about how we can provide resources for our supervisors and department heads, because like we talked about with Ronit and she mentioned, like we have a lot of new supervisors, and employees typically get promoted because they're good at their jobs. And then this supervisory piece is just a whole new animal that I would say, compared to the cost of McLean, tuition for the School of Hard Knocks has increased exponentially. So I would prefer the McLean route to be able to give, again, this skilled expertise to be able to support our supervisors and leadership, knowing that there are employees that need support too. And all of our successes with employees depend very largely on how much support we can give our leadership to lead the departments in the direction as set forth by the county board.
So is this a 2-year thing, or would this, and then after 2 years, what?
Then I'd say we would revisit at that point and assess the value and see how we move forward from there. Why I like the 2-year idea is that gives us time for that, the platform to show our results and progress. We'll have 1 year's worth of survey data to then put on the platform and show progress for employees while we move to selecting the second one. So by that point, we'll have a full life cycle of all of the services provided by McLean & Co. to see if we want to reevaluate, do we want to pursue other options, see the success rate of it there.
So Crow Wing, they did it for 2 years?
We did it for several years. I don't know exactly how many.
Crowing does it consistently. I don't know what cadence they're on now, but they're still continuing to engage us for survey providing.
Yeah. And another question about the pricing and kind of the why now conversation is that they noted on there, there's the year one of $40,000, I think $40,076, and year two, $42,000 something. There was something highlighted there that says post July 31st. So again, Megan, feel free to correct me where I'm wrong or where I missed, but the great thing about our timing right now is that we are catching McLean & Co. at the end of a budget year cycle before there's a new budget cycle. So we have been able to negotiate and work with McLean for the costs that we're presenting to you today. After July 31st, when it's a new budget cycle, there won't be that same flexibility. And as far as checking other services and looking for that competitive pricing, McLean & Co. is already registered with the Government Service Administration. We double check that website and see that Mille Lacs County is able to access those services. So with GSA, that means that we can utilize the cooperative purchasing program. So there's been that competitive pricing and services already accounted for in that co-op that we're able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I can tack on to that, Carly. We are coming up to the end of our fiscal year here at the end of July. We've been able to negotiate with Doug and Carly to extend payment into your new fiscal year and offer some time at the front end to be able to plan out the survey rather than kicking this off when your new fiscal runs around at the beginning of the year and trying to rush through planning out the survey at that time as well. So the timing is nice now in that we can work with the leadership team to really build out something that reflects the county's mission, vision, values, get all of the communications out to employees about the transition to a third-party provider, let them start to feel comfortable with the idea, and really do all of those pre-steps that help to increase participation and trust ahead of the new survey. So it's a good runway period of time, and also all of the survey build pieces that need to come from that.
So what I would envision next from here is they have sent us a sample contract that I would plan to review with the county attorney's office and likely bring to the board on the 21st. And again, why I'm looking to do that now is not just for, we want to get this pricing locked down with McLean if the board is on board with what I'm going through or covering today. And also, as part of that contract, we worked on a down payment this year using portions of this year's budget that I'll let Doug cover if there's anything you'd like to speak to there. But there's a $10,000 portion that would come out of this year's budget, which would then make the dollar amount for next year's budget the $30,052 instead of $40,052. So that's why I would plan to bring forward the contract with what we're paying now, getting the discounted price this year, and begin that ramp up service. And you'd see the rest of that in my budget request for 2027, that $30,052. And then the 42 something in the 2028.
I'm not real keen on the price myself.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of money. I mean, if Crow Wing County is the only other one that's used it, they've got 5 times the tax base that we do.
I'll just jump in and add that we do work with a number of different counties. We do need to like solicit their permission to be, speaking about them in the public this way, before doing it. With Crow Wing, we definitely already have done that. So we're certainly happy to kind of provide additional references if it comes down to that.
Thank you, Megan.
I don't have a problem with these proposals, but I'm having a problem putting the whole budget together for 2007, because this is like the third thing that we've been presented with where they want to start this year and fund next year. But I would like to see the whole budget. What are we going to put for 2007? What is our personal goals for cost increases and levy increases? And it seems like we're doing it piecemeal and we're losing control of what we can't see the overall picture. And that's the problem I'm having right now, what our total costs are. I mean, with the jail, this, and some other things that were presented to us moving forward on.
Good point.
I just would like more of a comprehensive, I know we're just getting into the budget cycle, but I don't like to do piecework before that budget cycle is, those goals are set and we start seeing some of these numbers from all these other departments and our priorities, funding priorities. I mean, I think there's a good effort. The third party thing I kind of agree with because we're not getting participation and people are, I don't know if they're chilled not to say what they want to say or they're just happy and don't have any comments. But I know our biggest problem in recruitment is our upper level management positions, CFOs, administrators, and those type of things. The other thing is the coordination of this survey between the different departments. In the survey we had before, the lowest responders were from the law enforcement group. And they don't even come to the picnic. It's just like, they're employees too, right? But they're under a slightly different management or leadership group, along with our lawyers over there, the public defenders. We get information from CVA and from our public service people, but those other employees, which are a large number of them, it seems like there's a barrier there between departments that we're just not getting recognition that they're all employees. I don't know if they're chilled by their managers or they're chilled by just the feedback or whatever. I'm not sure what it is, but my biggest concern is we're piecemealing this budget ahead of time, and I just don't feel comfortable with making all these type of decisions without seeing the entire budget for 2007.
Well, I think at this point, I'd like to continue that discussion with the time that we have left before the board meeting, but I do think at this point, Ronit and Megan, unless there are any further questions for them from the board, I'd like to thank you both very much for your time and presentation today, and we'll be in touch after today's board meeting. So I'll definitely get back to you, but I want to thank you for your time and hard work and presentation today. This was very well put together and very helpful. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much, obviously, Carly and Doug and the rest of the team there for your time. We'll make sure that everyone gets a copy of the research and presentation from today. Please don't hesitate to reach out with additional questions.
Thank you. Okay. So just to respond to some of those things from Dan, we historically have had participation countywide. It has been lower in some departments, and something that's come up as a challenge is like the availability, ease of completing the survey. So for example, Public Works not being able to have easy access to a computer all the time. Sheriff's office employees, of course, in the jail, there's a shared location for everybody to complete. And even for road staff, we know we have the tough books. I'd let the sheriff speak to any specific challenges there. But what I want to note with that is we already discussed that with McLean & Co. about how they can help us with ease of completion of the survey for employees who don't have easy access, like Ronit mentioned, who don't have a Monday through Friday 8 to 4:30 or aren't at a desk all day. And since they work with other public agencies, we're not the only county with a sheriff's office and with a public works department or employees who aren't sitting in front of a computer all day. So we did already speak with them to see how they can help us and possibly enlisting IT's help to do tablets, QR codes, even setting time aside to have timed intervals where employees come through to be able to complete it if they'd like. So that's part of why, again, their expertise is helpful to be able to overcome some of these hurdles that we're not left doing guesswork and trial and error to see what works and what doesn't. Like the HR customer satisfaction survey, again, I'll be reviewing that at the 21st board meeting. But from the employee engagement survey at the beginning of the year, employees talked about wanting a reminder on the hub, and they talked about wanting countywide email communications if they're not able to or don't check the hub frequently. With the HR customer satisfaction survey that closed last week, we did the hub posting, a reminder on the hub, any countywide email, and it only increased our responses by 10. So even historically, when employees had negative feedback to provide, at least they participated. That has decreased, and there's a real cost for the lack of participation. And we're seeing employees more and more disengaged. So I do want to ask the board to consider historical HR investments and noting, requests over the years, whether they were approved or not, and the investment that's been made in HR, noting that when we invest in HR, this is not, a couple of employee benefits. HR services are to serve all employees. Our customers are our coworkers. And those are our employees are our most valuable resources. So if we're seeing less and less engagement, that's a real sign of trouble. And we talked about that at the beginning of the year. So I just want to ask the board to take that into consideration with things like this, is the cost relative to the cost of disengagement and that continued turnover that we see, and this really needing to, I feel, make an upfront investment to be able to tackle these challenges that we've consistently seen become more and more of a problem. That transparency, communication, engagement, all the things that are dropping off, to really take something kind of drastic to give us a firm foothold and turning point. So I want to ask the board to consider that relative cost as part of the budget request.
Well, Carly, I can see that you're very passionate about this, and I believe that their input matters. And, of course, we want a positive workplace for everybody. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to make a decision on this until I saw where we're sitting at the budget, with the budget for 2027. Because if we're like too high, we're going to start cutting, and this is probably the first thing that's going to go. Because we've already started projects on a few other things like the jail remodel. So once again, I think it's very important. I think our employees are important. I'm just not comfortable with the cost right now. That's
my, this is from my experience as a manager in several different industries, is that when employees aren't providing feedback on surveys, it's usually a leadership problem, that the leadership is not asking them for honest input, that there's a chilling factor, that they feel that there's going to be some kind of retribution if they say something bad or whatever. And they don't say anything until it gets so bad that it just spills out of the department. And then somebody like us has to come in there and restructure it and whatever we have to do to get things moving in a positive state. So, I mean, I know we have a couple departments that we're not getting feedback from, and it's really the leadership in those departments that's got to tell their people, fill out these surveys, be honest about it, and be open about getting criticism or 360 feedback, whatever they're going to get. And it's our job to make sure that those people don't get retaliated against for speaking their minds, But I'm not, I haven't gone out there and asked those people why they're not filling out the survey, see what the actual pulse is. I mean, a third-party person probably could get a better answer than we're getting now, but yeah, I still like to see the entire budget. If we're going to set a goal for that budget, then we got to prioritize what we're spending our money on.
Correct. And then there's a company, MOBE, that sends emails and calls, and I've talked to them a couple of times, and then they still email and call. That's like annoying. So,
Yes, I can speak to that a little bit. So, and
well, I mean, are employees going to see that like the same way? Well, gee, these people just keep bugging me.
I mean, possibly. I think it's easier to see those as spam. That's what I've heard from employees, that they initially hear it as, and that's associated with our resource training and solutions, the co-op, or MHC, I should say, the co-op that we're part of for our health insurance, and that's their effort to, be able to assist employees up front with like preventative healthcare things or things that they see as opportunities to help reduce costs. But we've shared some frustration about the continued calls if employees don't have an interest. So they're very motivated to, work with employees to try to help keep costs down. We are also motivated to respect employees' wishes and have these calls decrease or discontinue. So it's kind of a service needs from a third party conflict that we're trying to work through. Yeah.
So I kind of didn't want this to be like that, and here we're paying for this.
Right. Yep. Yeah, we had talked about, using county email, using the hub, and of course, what other resources we could use here, but it would definitely be using probably their external communications. We would just work on communicating to employees that you'll be getting these emails from so-and-so, this company, anybody labeled this company is related to this, and have a detailed communication plan ahead of time, which McLean would help with. So I do hear the board about needing to see the complete budget for next year. The only other things that I want to add is when you talk about fear of retaliation and retribution, those kinds of things, I do strongly feel that a third party would assist with that and being able to get transparent feedback. And as far as leadership team goes, having these resources through McLean to support leadership team, I see as extremely helpful for the fact that leadership can encourage employees to complete the survey all day long. But if employees don't see that their input is valued or anything is done with it, it's very hard for leadership to get buy-in as well. So that's part of why I would see the benefit for McLean. So if the board is looking to not move forward with the contract at this time, then I hear you loud and clear. I just want to note that, again, the reason it was brought forward today is that today's estimate would be, on paper, it's 12 grand less than if we were to move forward after July 31st. In actuality, if we were to sign the contract now, it would be at that $40,052 price instead of $52,052, on top of the fact that the current contract we've negotiated in a $10,000 payment from this year's budget. So if we wait until next year, we're actually seeing a difference of $52,000 versus $30,052. So that's just what I want to note for today. And if that's the board's wishes, then I just wanted to cover that cost and the differences.
Roger, what do you think?
I don't think we should agree to any more expense until we see the budget. I kind of agree with Dan.
Yeah, 27 or 26? We'll have an update at next board meeting with the CFO leading this. So it's a process.
I think that bodes well for Carly's statement that we need to act, and she's entirely correct in the fact that the lack of response is alarming. And for the record, I would support it.
Okay. Thanks everybody for your time this morning.
Thank you. So Doug, preliminary levy or budget stuff, we'll have it next meeting.
27?
Yeah, morning
We
work,
can get those numbers for it.
morning work session.
Morning or afternoon, depending on how much time we have in the morning.
Well, we could start in the morning and finish in the afternoon. Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order, and if everyone can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have one addition to the agenda. That'll be 5.8, consider out-of-state travel for the NACO conference. With that addition, could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with that addition.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate with an aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Consent agenda, anything you wish to remove for discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate with an aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right, 5.1, Planning Commission recommendations.
Good morning, all. I've got 3 items here. All were recommended for unanimous approval. I'd like to go through them one by one. The first one, got the order here. I think it was for the Mickelson, yeah, for the communication tower. That was with the 3 conditions. Not a lot on this one.
Is this just a private company communication tower that they rent out to for cell phones or whatever?
Correct, that would be that, yep. And one of the conditions here per our ordinance is that it is designed for co-location.
So how many of these towers can we have in the county? Because is this the second one?
Oh, no, we've got a lot more than 2. We don't have a limit on them.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the point in the ordinance of saying that you know, we push for that co-location is to minimize the number, but we don't have a cap.
You want these approved one at a time?
Yeah, yep, with recommended conditions.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the request of Elizabeth Mickelson's for the Tower LLC for a conditional use permit with conditions noted by the Planning Commission.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Hey, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate with an aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
The next one is for the final plat of Spirit River. This preliminary plat has already come before you all. We've got 6 lots here, all greater than 5 acres. This is the one, if you remember, that has kind of in the center of it a roughly 50-acre conservation spot that used to be farm fields that was turned back into a wetland.
All right, it's a lot to scroll through here, but there is no conditions on this or anything.
No.
is in Roger's district, so what do you think, Roger? Any comments? I'll make a motion to approve the Maywood Farm LLC for the final plot.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
And the final item here is a conditional use permit for cannabis cultivation. The conditions on here are what will probably be the standard conditions for these moving forward. We've already done a couple of these now, so.
Is there a maximum number on these?
There's not a cap for the cannabis cultivation, no.
What is, I just had a question on this. This is like the third one we've had in the county. What prevents this? I mean, what prevents these cannabis plants from spreading beyond these sites? I mean, the birds carry the seeds and stuff. Are they all netted in, or are they all in greenhouse grown, or they're just like corn and other type of things? I mean, in the days of where marijuana was illegal, you go to a funeral in the cemetery and the gravel there was there long enough, you'd find marijuana plants growing in the community, and like you find them we used to find them on our farm, and they were leftovers from World War II when they used to grow hemp in this county, and then people were. It's not as illegal as it was then, but people had to dispose of it and get rid of this stuff off their property. What's the consequences if this hemp is growing on somebody else's non-permitted property just by natural habitation? Are the adjacent landowners required to remove it because they don't have a license?
Yeah, I guess I don't know what, if the state statute has anything as far as volunteer plants that pop up naturally. I do know that was asked, that same question was asked with the first cannabis cultivation CUP that we ran through. That farm, the owners stated that they were only going to be growing, I believe it was the female plant that doesn't pollinate and therefore would not spread outside of the site. I don't know, I'm not a farmer myself, but that's the answer they gave then. I don't know if that's a condition that we could put on here, because I don't know if it did then spread to another property. We don't have the authority to tell them to go remove it from that property. So I don't know, I guess, is my answer to that.
We could make it a condition that they are responsible for migration of this outside their property and are required to remove it or pay for the removal.
Yeah, maybe pay for removal, but then I don't know if we would need to hold something in escrow to actually force that. What I always think of when we have a condition is, okay, well, now how do I enforce it? Other than, because, I send a lot of people letters and that doesn't always go so well. Yeah, it'd be tough too. How do you say conclusively that it came from this other site?
All their plants are specific THC levels. So genetically, you can match them genetically, or you can match them with THC levels if you want to.
But then again, we have to pay somebody to do that, right? To match.
Well, they got to pay somebody to also evaluate the only problem I have with this, I don't have a problem approving this. The problem I have with the state doesn't seem to have any control over labs. They don't have any labs to monitor this stuff. We're getting into the same situation in Colorado gets into, where people are growing this stuff and then it's getting contaminated with pesticides and stuff. And it's not really healthy to smoke or even to use, whether they put the pesticides on it or adjoining farmers have drift that come over and this stuff spreads by birds. I have a berry farm and I have all kinds of stuff planted by birds that I have to take out every year, and hemp is one of them. And I'm just interested what kind of controls the counties do have over some of this. Or is it going to be an noxious weed that we have to start controlling out of our ditches and those type of things, because we don't have a permit? It has to do with the genetics of the plant. I'm just trying to figure out how big a problem we're creating for ourselves at this point. And how
And
many,
I
of these-
recommend-
how many of these do we have to have in the county? Is it limited, like the distribution's limited to 3, or
Yeah, there isn't a cap for this.
there's no cap for this?
Dan, I recommend you do your research on cannabis growing also, so you know as a farmer. And Keenan, question, what are they using this one for? That last one, wasn't it for oil? I mean, they were gonna do like all natural oils or something,
Yeah, I guess I'm not certain where exactly this product, but it's the same situation though, where they'll sell it wholesale, not out of the site.
right? And then Dan, all that stuff gets tested before it ever goes to the public. So there's labs. I know when we
Right now, they don't
When we-
have the labs.
did the tour of the growing facility at the band, I mean, everything goes and gets tested before, because those
Yeah,
are
it's
very
both.
specific questions I asked too. And just like farmers, everything is, the seeds are already modified per se, so they're not producing seeds and blowing everywhere. So you're not gonna have to worry about that. If you got stuff growing, it's most likely hemp that is blown in, not from a grower.
I know right now that you need to do more research on that too, because we can't really control Mother Nature and how Mother Nature distributes seeds and how we try to make
There is no
sterile.
seeds.
We try to make them sterile and they're not, we can't make things sterile. We can do it for a limited time, but we can't over a long term make seeds sterile. I'm just asking some of these questions because I don't think they've been asked. And I'm as a farmer concerned about it.
I think the percentage on that would be rather low, though. Do you agree?
No.
Okay.
It's like Roundup Ready soybeans and Roundup Ready corn. There's people that are getting sued by the company, Bayer Company, because they're growing corn that is Roundup Ready, but it's been genetically modified, not by them, it's been genetically modified just by the pollen from the corn in the neighbor's field. Same thing's gonna happen here, and is happening, so. But anyway, that's just a question. I'll make a motion, since we don't have much control of this because of state law, I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for Jacob Mickus for his
Cannabis
conditional
cultivation.
use permit for cannabis production.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second.
All right, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, 5.2, we have new hires.
We have 8 new hires for the month of June. We had 2 interns, Carter Platts and Lindsay Mosley. They both started on June 8th. Joel Gonzalez, wait a second, is anybody here? Yes, okay. Lindsay, if you want to stand up. Joel Gonzalez, tech support specialist, is behind Lindsay here. Todd Ackman, building maintenance worker 2, started on June 22nd. Kelsey Ogren, social worker, started on June 22nd. We have Ben Youngs back here too. Oh, thank you. Tech support specialist 2 started on June 29th. Tracy Beckstrom, bailiff, started on June 29th. And Mark Flaherty, assessor trainee, started on June 29th. So.
Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming.
And then we had 3 leaves in the month of June. Adam Wills, correctional officer, his last day was June 7th. Megan Lawrence, social worker, last day was June 12th. And Stephanie Dillon, lead eligibility worker, she retired. Her last day was on June 26th.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the report. You've got the next one as well.
Yep. Okay, so we had 6 outstanding service awards for quarter 2 this year. The first is Carol Dealer. So I've got their comments that I'll go through and read, and then everyone that's receiving one, if you can wait until we're done, we'll take a picture of everyone out in the hallway too. All right, Carol Dealer was recommended for her outstanding, oh my word, words today. Her outstanding dedication and positive impact in the workplace. Carol consistently goes above and beyond to create a supportive and welcoming environment for both her colleagues and the clients that we serve. She uses every day as an opportunity to make the workplace better, bringing a positive attitude and a strong sense of teamwork to everything she does. Carol is always willing to lend a hand, offer support, and step in wherever she is needed. Her commitment to meeting our clients' needs is evident in the care, professionalism, and compassion she demonstrates every day. Her reliability, work ethic, and genuine concern for others make her an invaluable member of our team. Any organization would be fortunate to have someone with Carol's dedication, integrity, and client-centered approach. Okay, the second one is Corinne Webb. Goes by Corky. She was nominated in recognition of her outstanding dedication and service to Mille Lacs County. For more than 20 years, Corinne has served in a challenging and often thankless role while continually striving for excellence in everything she does. As the county's septic lead, Corinne must navigate an ever-changing landscape of laws, regulations, and technical requirements, all while providing guidance and assistance to the public. Her position requires a unique combination of technical expertise, patience, and compassion. Corinne frequently finds herself working through difficult situations involving failing septic systems, frustrated property owners, and complex regulatory requirements. Despite these challenges, she consistently approaches each interaction with professionalism, kindness, and respect. She takes the time to educate residents, helping them understand that these regulations exist to protect both the community and the environment for future generations. Beyond her responsibilities to the public, Corinne is an invaluable member of our team. She is always willing to listen, offer guidance, and share her knowledge when coworkers are faced with difficult situations. Her experience, dedication, and steady presence have contributed greatly to the success of the zoning department. Simply put, our department would not be what it is today without her. Corinne's unwavering commitment to public service, her professionalism under pressure, and her genuine care for both her coworkers and the citizens she serves makes her exceptionally deserving of this recognition. I can think of no one more worthy of praise and appreciation for their dedication to Mille Lacs County. The third one is Debbie Thompson. It's a case aide in CVS. Debbie Thompson was nominated for the Outstanding Service Award. Debbie is an exceptional case aide whose dedication, work ethic, and compassion consistently elevate the quality of service provided to both staff and clients. Debbie brings a calm, solutions-focused presence to every situation. She works seamlessly with fellow employees and supervisors, always stepping in to help without hesitation. Debbie's communication is clear, respectful, and thoughtful, making her a trusted resource within our team. Her personal initiative stands out daily, whether she is anticipating needs before they arise, organizing complex cases with remarkable attention to detail, or supporting families with patience and empathy. Debbie continuously goes above and beyond in her role. Her commitment to clients is unwavering, and she represents our department with professionalism and heart. Debbie's consistent excellence, positive attitude, and willingness to support others make her truly deserving of this recognition. It is a privilege to recommend her for the Outstanding Service Award. Next one is Nick Jansen. Nick was nominated, pleased to nominate Nick Jansen, Assistant County Engineer for Mille Lacs County Public Works for the 2026 Q2 Outstanding Service Award. Nick's performance, leadership, and contributions exemplify the highest standards of public service and have had a transformative impact on our department and the communities we serve. Nick has consistently demonstrated outstanding job performance through his exceptional management of our construction projects. His technical expertise, attention to detail, and proactive approach ensure that projects are delivered efficiently, safely, and with high quality. He maintains clear oversight in complex situations and navigates challenges with professionalism and sound judgment. One of Nick's most significant contributions has been his success in establishing and maintaining strong local partnerships. He works collaboratively with cities, townships, and our local high school to support engineering education and community engagement. Additionally, his service to the St. Cloud Technical Community College Technical Advisory Committee has strengthened our recruitment pipeline, helping ensure a steady stream of highly skilled engineering technicians into our department. These relationships are already paying long-term dividends for the county. Nick has expanded the capacity of the Public Works Department in meaningful ways. His technical abilities are exceptional, but equally important is his talent for teaching, coaching, and developing employees. He elevates the entire team by sharing knowledge, mentoring staff, and setting high standards through his own example. His leadership has played a key role in building a strong, capable, and cohesive workforce. He has also implemented improved communication practices that keep residents well informed about project timelines, impacts, and progress. This has increased transparency, reduced confusion, and strengthened community trust in our operations. Nick's professionalism, positive attitude, and ability to work effectively with staff at all levels make him a tremendous asset to our department. He is not only a skilled engineer, but an exemplary leader and colleague. His contributions clearly demonstrate exceptional service to the residents and staff of Mille Lacs County. For those reasons, he was enthusiastically and without reservation recommended for the 2026 Quarter 2 Outstanding Service Award. The next one we have is Pam Bemis. Pam was nominated by a coworker for the Outstanding Service Award. Pam has served Mille Lacs County for over 30 years, and throughout that time, she has been a model of dedication, professionalism, and unwavering work ethic. She is a woman I deeply look up to. Again, I didn't write this. She is a woman I deeply look up to, both personally and professionally, and her methods, knowledge, and commitment have shaped the way I approach my own work. For the past 10 years, I've had the privilege of learning from Pam. Her depth of experience is remarkable. But what stands out even more is her patience and willingness to teach, no matter how many times our office has restarted with new attorneys or assistants. Pam has stepped up, guided, supported, and trained with grace. She is the kind of mentor I aspire to be. Simply put, I want to be like Pam. During slower periods, Pam never hesitates to pick up any task that needs doing. No job is too big and no task is too small. Many people with her level of seniority might feel certain duties are beneath their experience, but not Pam. Her humility and team spirit set the tone for the office every single day. Thank you, Pam, for showing what true dedication looks like. Your work ethic and example will continue to influence and strengthen this office for years to come, long after you retire, if we let you. Kidding. Your impact is lasting, meaningful, and deeply appreciated. And then the last one is Savannah Hill, and she's not here today. She's a correctional officer. I strongly recommend Officer Savannah Hill for her exceptional performance, dedication, and commitment to service. Since beginning her career in the jail approximately 3 years ago, she has consistently demonstrated professionalism, initiative, and a strong desire for personal and professional growth. Officer Hill continually seeks opportunities to expand her knowledge and improve her skills while making meaningful contributions to the facility and her team. Her outstanding work ethic, integrity, and commitment to excellence have earned the respect of her peers and supervisors, and she has clearly demonstrated the ability and readiness to take on greater responsibilities and leadership opportunities within the Sheriff's Office. And those are all of them. And then if the ones that received the award could step outside for pictures.
Well, congratulations, everyone, and thank you for your service. All right, 5.4.
Good morning. So this is a budget amendment for the Sioux Line Trail and the Great Northern Trail expenses. It is a budget neutral, net neutral amendment. We historically had the trails under the general fund, and now they are being managed by Public Works. So we're just moving this over more just for tracking purposes.
Okay, any questions? Motion?
I make a motion to approve the net neutral budget amendment recommended.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, we need more discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, 5.5. Lainey.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am presenting a solicit for RFP for a housing study for Mille Lacs County. This would be a county-wide housing study and needs analysis. We had a long discussion about this already in work session, so I guess I'll open it up if you have any further questions on the proposed RFP that was put together. I did reach out to cities. There is some interest in cost sharing. Some of them would be available yet in 2026. However, some would not be able to budget that until 27. My budget item is for 2026. Specifically, when I did budget for this, this was more of a concept of doing a region, rather north or south region, and it was to work alongside with a university. That opportunity wasn't there this year, so that's why I made a shift in my budget to go forward with a full scale with a consultant group.
And 20,000 is the,
Yeah, 20,000 is what I have, give or take, available in my budget. 20,000 I can commit to, depending upon where other items land in my professional line. You know, I could increase that maybe to 25,000, depending upon, you know, I'm still pending that if a student takes on that tourism survey or study. So the university has accepted that. It's just whether or not a student picks it up. So we won't know until probably late July or early August for that.
any questions? And our last housing study was done in 2014?
Correct. Yep.
12 years.
I'll make a motion to authorize us and solicit RFP for Mille Lacs County Housing Study for $20,000.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right, 5.6, it's you as well.
All right, yes, I have the next one as well. So in January of this year, Wes did solicit for an agreement with Capital Railroad Services to evaluate the Trestle Bridge, to get an updated evaluation of that on the Sioux Line Trail. After many discussions with stakeholders, we continue to focus on all three bridges as a major concern on the Sioux Line Trail, a top priority. So we revisited with Capital Railroad Services and asking if they could revise the agreement to test all three bridges to give an evaluation. To get this will help me being able to go after grant funding. We have it in our master trail plan for some sort of improvements to those bridges, whether it's a rehab or a full replacement. But until we truly know what the bridges can, if they can hold weight, what they can hold, et cetera, we can't get quotes on knowing how much that's going to be to either replace or rehab. So grant funding is very limited with a known plan. So this would help. This would be for all three. So it's the Trestle Bridge over the Rum River, Bradbury Brook, and Malone Creek. And we would be looking at $11,000 for this.
Is the timber structure that's on the very east end, is that in a different county?
No, that's the Malone Creek one.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Aren't they all timber bridges?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some culverts along there too. And then, so it would really be able to tell us, okay, with the weight of these side-by-sides, they're getting larger, they're getting heavier. Can they at least hold that? That's truly what this trail is made for. Obviously, we're having equipment going over there, and that's a concern with the road grader, with the snow groomer, et cetera. Those are quite heavier. So really knowing that, we hold that liability, so it would be in our best interest to know what that capacity is of those. There's been conversations of replacing Malone Creek and the Bradbury Brook one with more of a box culvert if needed, but we won't know that until we have these surveys.
And it's probably a safety issue too, because any of the sheriff's equipment would also need to get across that bridge at any time.
Yeah, 100%. So the Trestle Bridge is in really poor condition. It has been for years. We've known about that. Obviously, that one's going to be a big lift on getting that replaced or whatever. In conversation, I did go out on a tour with Aaron, brought public safety into this to make sure that they're part of this conversation as we're working on the Sioux Line Trail, because safety is a huge problem out there. So we did talk about that. The railing, I mean, you could go up to it and it was just loose. And then there was comment of, well, Onamia School, the elementary, comes onto this Trestle Bridge for a field trip. And it's like, we cannot have that happen. I mean, it just was so loose. The drift skippers did go and do quite a bit of repairs on that. So the railing, I stopped up there last week. I was going up for another meeting, so I did stop by, and it is a lot more secure, a lot safer. They're hoping to finish up their end of the project of securing that railing by the end of this week.
I guess my question, just one question really, is these bridges were originally constructed to handle trains. What is the maximum weight limit that we're looking for now for these bridges? So when they go out to evaluate them, we have to give them some kind of standard, right? Otherwise, we're just guessing.
I don't have the answer to that. That's above me.
They will evaluate, they'll do a load rating on them and evaluate what their maximum capacity would be. It's not the other way around. So they'll figure out what they could hold. But the issue with these is that the piling are going to be really rotten. They're old structures. So you'll have to determine how much viable piling is there. And they might still be able to hold a blade or a groomer. Those are the concerns. So, but you're not looking for something, you're looking for its maximum capacity and load rating.
Okay, so when they come back with that study, then what is going to be the maximum or non-maximum that we're going to accept before we say these are not safe? Or who's going to make that non-safe? No capacity. It can't. Is it at a level where it has no capacity hold, or is it and then you condemn it, or is it at a capacity where you come down to it's only good for 2,000 pounds, so we're going to put a sign there saying it's good for 2,000 pounds for the next 6 months?
would be my opinion that they'll determine the weight capacity. And then I don't think they're as bad as you might think because of what they were originally designed for. But you have to pay attention to them because they go fast. The Malone Island Bridge went really super fast. And
Well, so did the West Branch of the Rum River Bridge.
really horrible.
That one was tore down
Yeah.
because it was unsafe.
Yeah, and these might have to be closed. If they don't rate, they'll have to be closed. Or limited, but most likely closed if they're that bad. That's my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, what's our decision on this?
Make a motion to approve the bridge inspection agreement with Capital Railroad Services for the bridges on the Sioux Line Trail, timber bridges on the Sioux Line Trail.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we have 5.7.
So I have in front of you a resolution 07072602 for the performance measures program that we have. So this is done every year. So attached is the resolution for your consideration, as well as the results for 2025 performance measures. I will note that there is a difference in public safety as far as reporting on the crime rates, which has been noted for 25. So you'll see a significant difference in the numbers there, and that's just how they, my understanding is how they classify the crimes on the BCA level.
Okay, any questions?
Was there a reduction?
This time period, well, it depends on the type of crime.
Crime 1, crime 2, it says the numbers are changed.
It used to be A and B,
Feedback that we got was that some of it has changed for as far as what they categorize it for.
classification.
Yeah.
All county, haven't seen it.
Thank you.
And part 1 was violent crimes and part 2 is property crimes, if I'm correct?
Violent crime and then. That's completely broken down as violent crime. Pretty sure. First degree drug sale, violent crime, correct? And second degree drug, I think. Any kind too. Yeah. Non-violent, there's like domestic violence, but domestic assault is not. So. Point being, when I look at part 1, part 2, I don't really care because they don't mean anything to me as it pertains to county, other than for discussions with the board.
I know they call these performance goals, but numbers, but do we have actual goals for each one of these numbers where we want to get down to or up to? Or are they just reported numbers that we're tracking?
My understanding, it's just the reporting numbers that we're tracking. However, with the RBA, which is a separate process, those is where we're getting into more of the tracking as far as setting goals and making sure we meet those goals.
Shar, do you have any comments on your department on how these measures are related?
Actually, I just got back from vacation.
Oh, okay. So sorry to put you on the spot. Welcome back.
Goal is always zero,
Right.
Zero enterprise.
I mean, I know the one that Veteran Services used to talk about there, is the dollars they bring into the county, and I see we got a $1 million drop. And I know we haven't had any VA meetings lately to even understand what that's all about. But I suspect it's because there's a significant drop in number of veterans receiving benefits. Either they're moving out of the county or their veterans are depleting one way or another. But is it?
I do believe that has something to do with your correct part of World War II veterans that are passing on, and our numbers are getting and eventually our numbers, we're not seeing more veterans now. We're going to.
Right. But I think that was one of the VA officers' goal, right? To make sure that they are bringing the money into the county for those veterans that deserve it. All right. I guess the numbers are what they are, so I will make a motion to approve the resolution 0707-2602 performance measures.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, 5.8, and this one is mine. A little oversight on my part is I am attending the NACO conference next week, and it is out-of-state travel. Even though I'm a commissioner, it has to be approved by this board. Out-of-state travel to New Orleans, Louisiana. The total for airfare, hotel, registration, and meals is $2,250. So I'm asking this board to approve the travel for the NACO conference. I will be attending the Housing and Child Care, Tribal Partners, SNAP benefits, and touring the 911 state-of-the-art dispatch center in New Orleans, as well as the new dam after the hurricane.
That include return trip?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, we're on to committee reports. Who would like to start? Okay.
I had two committees I was assigned to that met during this, since the last board meeting. One was a local mental health committee. I attended that one. Was well attended by providers. We only had one member from the general public attend. The other one, second one came in later, but resigned as president. So we're looking at the users' participation in the committee, again, trying to recruit more users. But there wasn't a lot of discussion except for participation in the Mille Lacs County Fair, having a float or something to get, and then also how to contact other mental health people to contribute to the committee. The other one was Rum River watershed committee, I didn't make that one because I had another obligation. But they have minutes we can review if you want to see what happened there. That's it.
Okay, Roger?
Yeah, I went to the fair board meeting. Pretty much the same, getting ready for the fair, and things are going pretty well, so. About the same as a month before, so. That's all I got.
Okay. I attended the East Central Regional Library budget meeting. We are looking at an increase. We haven't decided on what cuts that we're going to land on, but we're going to try to keep it around $340,000 for the libraries in our county. AMC had their budget meeting, and they're looking at about a 3% increase on dues, which isn't going to amount to too much at 3%. I want to say that in the budget reports or the warrants, administration warrants, Doug, you must have found a way to change county coordinator to county administrator, and I know Dylan had a tough time doing that.
I give all the credit to Amy.
Amy, good job, Amy. Thank you for doing that. Nice report.
I had a shack meeting, but I had other commitments I couldn't attend, but I know Chris did, and she was going to update me if she was a voting person for that meeting. So I've not heard any updates from her on it.
I'm up?
Yep.
And I'm green? Good. I attended a leadership team meeting on 6/24, had a roundtable discussion in length about paid family medical leave and how it affects department functionality. Several topics were discussed about how to combat that situation, but it's obvious that it's going to impact us, each uniquely. I know that in Char's group, it's going to be maybe more impact than might be at Kyle's, and the solutions might be different for each one. It was knocked around for taking back some retired people or inviting them to come back in and fill those roles rather than add staffing. But the consensus was that there was going to be a need for staffing because, especially in Char's, she seemed to have a heavier burden than Kyle had. And I don't know how it affects you. I don't know how it affects Public Works. So we'll need to keep our eye on the prize there to figure out what the solution is. And I did, before the meeting, I thought, well, maybe this is overkill once a month, but I think that even though there weren't a lot of topics on there, it's nice to get together and get a chance to see what everybody's doing. So I guess I'm going to change my opinion on that. It'd be my opinion that you should hang with it, but that'll be your choice. I had a DAC meeting on the 22nd. It was business as usual. The garden renovation project is underway in town. As you drive by, they've got concrete poured. The handicap swing thing is a big deal. It's like 20 some large to build a swing that's safe for handicapped people. So it's going to be, it's underway and moving along. Their contract negotiations are continuing and a tentative agreement has been reached. And pretty much business as usual for the DAC. They're a little concerned about their upcoming funding cycle, and that was part of her director's report. So that's all I have.
Can I ask a question? Where is that swing going to be at?
It's in the commons area. There's a fence there, and that's all being redone, the garden area, and that swing will be in that garden area.
Here in Malacca?
Here in Malacca. I'm sorry, yeah, Malacca.
Okay.
They had other issues with like potholes and whatever in the parking lots and other business as usual stuff. That's it for me.
Okay. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor indicate with an aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. We'll take a 5-minute break and then start with our afternoon work session.
you.